Welcome to another episode of the True Beast Podcast, brought to you by xdog.com, where you can find the world's greatest health enhancement harness for dogs, the X-Dog Fitness Vest. Exercising your dog has never been easier or more effective than with the X-Dog Fitness Vest. But what makes it the world's greatest health enhancement harness? Well, I'm glad you asked, Trevor. Well, hundreds, if not thousands of our clients who are professional dog trainers, handlers, have also utilized the X-Dog Vest to address different behavior issues, such as being destructive around the house, digging, excessive barking. It also makes for a great anxiety vest, especially during thunderstorms or fireworks or in uncertain environments. So if you're looking to level up your dog's life or enhance its overall health, be sure to check out xdog.com. And we are on episode 54.
Yep, and today we're going to talk about ownership.
Ownership, that's a great topic. In addition, we're doing something new. We're doing a June contest on the X-Dog Instagram. And we're going to have people ask us, in order to win an X-Dog version 3, because we just got the matching True Beast leashes and collars, the camo versions, and we also have more black leashes. Collars. We have leashes. But in order to win, they have to ask us a question on that post. And if we answer your question during this episode, you're going to win an X-Dog camo version 3 with matching True Beast leash and collar. So be sure to
put it to use.
Put it to use. Yeah. But you gotta listen to the podcast. And so
it works itself out. We appreciate those that listen. We can't thank you enough for being supportive of both your dog and your own growth.
Oh yeah, and check this out too. If you want to take it an extra mile, this is something that I thought Jamarcus put up as a good idea. You might want to leave us a review.
Yeah.
We'd like to see a review.
Yeah. You might get something bonus if you're the person that we answer. You're like, oh, left.
You might influence. Too. You might influence to select your question. I don't know.
Exactly.
No, just show us some love, man. We want it to be. The whole thing is we're not trying to here to buy fucking reviews, but it would definitely help us out a lot for sure.
Exactly. So tell them what it's like to be an owner, man, and what it really means to own shit.
Ownership is, man, it starts within yourself. If you ask me, a lot of people, I think one of the biggest things that we all have to deal with in life is always trying to point the finger at someone else, when the real issues are our own selves. Like, we're our own problems. Most of our problems derive from our perspective and our inner selves.
Man, I've told that to quite a few people over the years. It's like, we're standing from two different places on two different mountains.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And I'm not going to climb or try to jump like the Hulk over to that mountain to get you to see my views.
Yeah.
Or that this is the better path.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is exactly wrong.
Yeah. Did you get to see Top Gun?
No, I'm not a Top Gun.
Okay. Spoiler alert, not to spoil anything. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that movie was fucking great. And the reason I think you would like it and Jamarcus would like it because it has a lot to do with ownership.
Yeah.
I'm not a Tom Cruise fan
at all.
But after the end of that movie, it was like a standing ovation in there. I mean, there almost wasn't a dry eye in there. And a lot of it had to do with, being great at something, chasing a purpose or a mission, right? That is almost pretty much impossible to do. So I'm like, it started resonating to me because I'm like, dude, I've been chasing this for a long fucking time, right? It was 37 years ago since Top Gun. I've been at this for 18 years, right? Yeah. And then he's got to go in there, right? And you got to get a team ready. Well, leadership and, the number one thing in leadership is extreme ownership, right? Like,
you're responsible for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yes. And so there was a lot of that in it, right? There was getting criticized by people that you look up to, your peers, to the points where you're almost getting canceled out, or they try to cancel you out to the point where you're like, fuck it. In order to make this thing happen, I just got to go do it myself, And it was just like all that shit resonated to me. And I was like, damn, this was a fucking really good movie. So if you get an opportunity, check it out.
We'll definitely watch it at the house at some point. I'm not going to the movie to go.
You probably won't be able to go in there. It's like, I think it fucking grossed almost $150 million out the gate.
Oh, wow. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Damn. They need to redo Grease then. For real.
Well,
tell me more. Tell me.
He caught a bunch of fines because, obviously they filmed during COVID at certain times, right? And they wouldn't release it. He didn't want to release it during COVID because this is the type of movie that you have to watch in theaters.
Yeah.
They rented those jets. Guess how much it costs to
I
rent
saw
one?
that. I did see something go up where they said it's like what $100 something thousand an hour.
Well, I think it was $17,000.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's still an hour.
Yeah,
But they didn't fucking cut no corners on the quality, you know?
And well, quality's clearly it's got you amped up. So
Yeah. Well, Tom Cruise, man, took extreme ownership on that. He's like, dude, we'll eat the fines. We're going to do whatever it takes. But with no exceptions to the rules, we're going to release this, and you have to see it in theaters.
Now, here's the thing. I am big on movies, people. And what I do love, I love watching both. So if there's a movie, Apple does a good job of having the director's cut. I watch every version of a movie that I enjoy. And what you look at is Michael McConaughey. Is that his name?
He's an actor, yeah.
There we go. He was supposed to be a lawyer. Built in, and he called his dad one day.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
I was like Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I was like Michael. I was like Matthew.
There we go,
Matthew.
Matt.
His
Matt,
book is really good.
Yeah, he goes. I called my dad one day, and I was like, I want to get into the storytelling business. And when you really think about a good movie tells a story that really, it almost touches the soul, right?
Yeah.
It really does make you think about life in a different way.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that took place because that's what makes a movie or breaks a movie.
Yeah.
And that's why we love, on my end, love guys like Denzel or Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
These guys go to a place that I know I couldn't go.
Yeah.
You just go, bro. They fucking told that the Revenant. You go, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
They pushed them bars. So on ownership, man, what's it feel like to own something that's helped so many people?
That alone, man, gives me so much purpose, right? Like today I woke up at 3:00 this morning and I was like, okay, I got to take ownership on our website. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that we can improve. And especially on there and on Amazon, we're getting a lot of traffic, but we're not converting as well as we possibly can, and not to say we're not converting well, but we got to take it to that next level, right? And so from 3:00 to 5:00 a.m., I wrote a whole business plan on the website. Yeah. It was kind of weird because I was also looking for an Amazon manager, and I happened to look in my messages on Facebook where it says requested messages, not just I didn't know there was a section called requested messages. And I clicked on there and there was about 60 messages about
Man, I just learned that too on TikTok. It's like requested, it's not suggested friend request. It's requested friend request. There's a lot of things going on here where people are trying to connect.
Well, ironically, in one of my from my Arte group on May 5th, an individual hit me back and they're like, hey, I saw your message on there requesting one. And I was like, man, I got no help from the group. But I actually had like 4 people reach out. And so now I got some meetings set up and I'm really excited about it.
Facebook don't want you to win.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like
if somebody sends you a message, why doesn't it fucking show up in my message? Even if I don't want to reply, it should just show up in my messages.
Yeah.
All that hidden message, suggested, requested, bro.
They got that in Instagram too.
Exactly, man. You gotta type. You gotta click 3 things to get to some other bullshit. Just send me the fucking message.
Well, there's a lot of there's a few people back in early when we first launched about 4 years ago. Some of them were talking shit, right? So they must have got blocked or something, or something,
Well, you guys aren't friends. It definitely says there. You be like, damn, I got a message from 2012.
Yeah, it was
what
weird.
What the fuck these motherfuckers talking
getting
about?
cussed out and shit. It's fucking funny. And then I had a lot of great great messages and stuff like that.
Okay, so one of the things that you've owned, and I think just because I'm back here helping do some of the work, is the fact that there's, I won't say been a lack of clarity.
Yeah.
But not so clear about, hey, what the X-Dog vest is capable of.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, to be clear, people. When you don't really know what you do, it's kind of like if you ever get a chance to watch a social network and you watch they didn't know what the Facebook was.
Yeah.
And then it kept turning into something. They kept getting information. You go, this has got to do this. You just call it the Facebook, not the Facebook.
Yeah.
Just do this. Well, we need to put this in. And you start fine-tuning things like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn didn't know to start a requested a recruitment service.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy goes, I'm going to send somebody out and say, is this the thing? And the guy goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll pay you $70,000 a year to have access to specific niches like engineers. Mm-hmm. These companies will, so they can basically scroll through and find the things they need. So as you figured out, hey, this vest is capable of so much more.
Yeah.
The negative side of owning the fact that maybe you didn't think about these things, and then the positive side about owning the fact that I got more work to do.
Well, I think it's just all is part of entrepreneurship and owning business and life in general. You have to learn how to pivot and evolve if you're going to be successful. There's not an option, right? And so I look at it, my perspective on the X-Dog vest is that it started initially out as a product that was going to, help dogs perform better and build muscle. That was kind of like the generic vision of it. And then it just evolved into this crazy thing because the more bodies and more hands, of experienced dog owners started utilizing it, it just evolved into solving so many other issues, you know? I mean, it can lower the risk of health-related diseases. It can add years to your dog's life. You know, you talk about a dog that's overweight, their lifespan is going to be 2.5, on average, it's 2.5 times less than a dog that's at an ideal weight, right? Well,
similar to that of obese people, overweight people, the organs, everything's working a little bit harder to just sit around and do nothing even.
You know, and then we got to the point where it's like it's going to lower the risk of health-related diseases. It can improve, improve mental health. It can solve behavior issues. So, again, getting into it and being able to break down those sectors and be able to communicate each benefit in a way that the consumer can understand, because some people may not want, maybe their goal isn't to improve their dog's performance or build more muscle, but they're having a dog that's excessively barking in the house or reactive on a leash or dealing with anxiety issues, you know, and now the vest is involved into that, you know, and so we're just riding the wave. Now, I mean, it's a fun journey because I think that's what makes it so great, is because when you think about it, like, you can get stale when you're constantly pushing a certain message all the time. When you look at Gary Vee, yeah, he punches a similar message very all the time, but then the NFTs dropped, right? And then he gets into crypto, and then but it all started out with Wine Library.
But here's the thing, what I like about, you know, I tell people this, I'm one of those people who gets a lot of phone calls people trying to figure out what the fuck to do next, right? And so when I resonate with Gary Vee is because I would get tired of pushing the same message to basically the same person.
Yeah.
But the fact that everybody comes with almost a uniqueness and specific to whatever they got going on, but it's very similar. So you're like saying the same thing. And I literally left the house once. And one of my athletes, I took him with me to sell some T-Fit shit. And it was basically like changing the kid's life and improving him as an athlete. He said, "You ever get tired of saying the same thing?" I said, "You see how much money you just gave me?"
Yeah.
I said, I ain't never going to get tired until it stops working.
Yeah.
As long as it works, there's another. And mind you, the work in that particular situation had nothing to do with fitness.
Yeah.
This kid would get highly frustrated. He would start crying at times. And I said, "Yo, when I come back over," I told the dad, this guy's very wealthy. So when I come back over, I'm going to take him upstairs. We'll have a conversation. And so when I start drilling him in some regard with questions, this 14-year-old kid at the time, he starts crying and says, "Why can't my mom act like his friend's mom?" Now I know I'm not going to say the kid's name, but and you go, "Oh, there's more to it." So my initial approach, kind of like even when you talk about building a business, it goes, am I just building this to sell this one thing and make this much money?
Yeah.
Or am I creating something that's going to change someone's life?
Yeah.
And
well,
there's
speaking
the
of
opportunity.
Speaking of that, that's where I see the next evolution to X-Dog is inspiring dog owners to move more, to be more aware of their nutrition. It sounded like right there that it was one of those parents, because I've dealt with a ton of them. I was actually one of them who tried to vicariously live through their child, and they put a lot of pressure on their child to perform. Some children can excel during that. A lot of them can't. They mentally can't. You remember we used to talk about the kids who are just champions in the practice room. But when them lights hit, man, that pressure is different, man. And
we used to say that on track. Everybody look good warming up.
Yeah.
But when that gun go off,
you
gotta get to that line, brother. And you don't want to be last. Hey, that warm up look good. A skips, high knees. They like, boy, he's a technician.
Yeah, exactly.
Run 12 flat.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things too that we kind of find out is that a lot of I notice a lot of dog trainers or people who have social media accounts of their dog. They're vicariously living through their dogs. They're getting the attention through their dogs. And it's like, okay, cool. Your dog eats great food, but you eat like shit. You ask your dog to work its ass off while you tell it to work its ass off and sit on your ass. It's you ask your dog to be disciplined, and you're one of the most undisciplined individuals, and you feel like if you have your dog under control, you're under control, but it's not.
Exactly.
It's just masking what the real problem is, and you need to fix yourself.
So in these episodes, people,
ownership.
There we go. Things I want you guys to look for. We'll always talk something specific about dogs, something about life, and then something about business. So we're now about to get to that life part right here.
Yeah.
And then we got to get to the dogs. But objectively, talk a little bit about, and this is me picking on Stan, if you will, but not picking on him. We're open and honest here. The things that you had to own as far as your mistakes are concerned. And I don't like mistakes. I really don't. I think they're choices. But if you don't know, then how can you do better, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm only thinking, I'm saying I think because I don't know for a fact what you're going to help clear up, is at times we get into this state of being so sure that sometimes we basically walk into a dark tunnel and hoping to find a light, and it's just not there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be putting ourselves around people who are counterproductive. But when you start talking about ownership, I've seen literally, I've been here for the past 6-7 months, people, and I've watched this Stan become a better communicator, leader, and even just like, I think you said that Sabrina said, hey, they don't know the other you. Well, you're calm now. That's what they said. What changed?
Ownership. Holding myself 100% accountable.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't blame any of my past employees.
Yeah.
You know, like I failed them as a leader. I wasn't ready. And that's on all aspects of my life. You know, I have certain regrets as a father. I have certain regrets when it comes to leading this company and business. And, you know, like if I would know what I know now, I would probably took a different approach to the launch, you know, like in understanding my relationships with individuals and how fragile they really are. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I wouldn't have probably been so accessible, you know. You know, but that was my fault. That's not the individual's fault who I felt did me wrong. You know, I just take it as a lesson learned. But it's just, you know, holding myself for 100% accountable, whether it's my diet, my lifestyle, my addictions, you know, my parenting, my leadership. It's all me. It's never them, you know.
So when something goes on, if you have, is there a question that you ask yourself to calm yourself down? Because I have to.
Yeah.
I literally have to be like, yo, calm the fuck down. Because
Yeah.
if I go and respond right now, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
And I don't know no other way. So I have to talk myself off every ledge.
I think one thing that I've learned from you being around you is just clear communication. And here's the thing that people don't understand. When somebody is honest with you and it doesn't sound good, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean that they don't fucking care. That lets you know they care about you, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, listen, man, like a family member of mine, I'm not going to say their name, had contacted me and they're having marital issues, right? Yeah. And I'm like, well, what'd you do? He's like, I didn't, you know, they're like, I didn't do nothing, you know, I didn't do that. I was like, no. You did something, you know, as a man or a woman, you've done something. You're not in shape. You're not being a good leader. You know, you want someone, for example, if you want a woman to follow you or want you to take the lead, you got to show that you're a leader. You know, and you got to lead through example.
Where that starts, though, too, in most marriages and really relationships, is the minute you think of one thing you don't want to tell your significant other or your friends or associates, that's when you start lying to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when you start putting up with stuff, which is why I practice honesty.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I just told Jamarcus and them this last night. I said, guys, I told you at the beginning of the year, whatever you do, good, bad, ugly.
Yeah.
Just be honest. I can work with that.
Yeah. And you know, it's like, again, if we want to translate it to dogs, it's setting those boundaries, right? And if you set those boundaries, the relationship's going to be better, you know? Yeah. Like, for example, you know, like me and Cam, we've worked on it. Our dogs get really excited getting in the car, traveling from the headquarters to home. When we open the kennel, we're now able to open all 4 kennels and all dogs are placed until they're individually called out, you know? We're promoting that calmness, but we had this... I set the boundaries. They would do it for me, but they wouldn't do it for her. And then until she's like, oh, I need to set these boundaries. Now she's starting to set the boundaries because we got a child coming, you know? Yeah. And we got to have some controlled dogs and dogs who understand clear communication and what is expected out of them in the house, you know?
So that's the part right there that I think is the most challenging part. Is between 2 people, to be clear, along with dogs, is you set an expectation for a person, but you don't communicate it. Yeah. And then you get mad when they don't do what you said. And so even a question that was asked to me last night is, I don't know how to talk to you. And I said, I don't know when you're angry. I said, why would I be angry at you? I've got no expectations for you. Yeah. I've literally not asked you to do one thing. Yeah. I said, so whenever you have a question or you want to talk to me, just talk to me. I said, I'm never going to get mad. I understood years ago, if I don't put anything on the table for you, what am I be mad at you for? Yeah. It's the best part of like really leading a person. I had over 3,000 kids I've worked with and 5 that still come see me to this day. If I don't lay out a line and say, there's the line, cross this, you cross this, we're going to have these type of issues. Yeah. So think about this. Now, you worked with a lot of football players, right? Football, basketball, all of it. Okay, so in any type of team sport, right, if an individual takes a play off, does that hurt or help the team? Oh, it fucks the team up. Now, what I've learned from a lot of dog trainers is that you cannot take a play off when it comes to the boundaries with your dog. Like, every rep counts, and it needs to be consistent, or there's going to be a
communication flaw. There's going to be a flaw in your communication.
It just goes back to that saying, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, and so you have to be consistent with your boundaries with no exceptions, and that also goes with personal relationships. You can't say something and then give an individual a pass. It's
called hypocrisy.
And then another pass.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I used to do it and then build up and like, why are you doing this? Because they'll show some, I allowed it.
You allowed it.
Exactly.
You allowed it. And I love the fact that you said no exceptions.
Yes.
I have a zero tolerance policy for almost everything. And it's just one of those things. And I tell people, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, please let me know.
Yeah.
I don't have no quarrel being checked either, because we all can do better. But the fact is every day you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Every day we got to try and push the envelope a little more. When you start treating it not like a job, but like an opportunity to be better, guess what? Everybody ends up getting better. And if the table's clear, meaning like, hey, we can talk about things, bring them to the table, discuss stuff, and improve from that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's talk about the things we want to achieve. And then values.
Yeah.
Think about that. I said, guys, change the way that I'm eating. Eat only once a day and all this other stuff, right? But I'm like, $100 million.
Yeah.
We got to start with the mentality. I'm seeing where I'm going to be. And I told you everything that was going to happen, and it's happened.
Yeah, and you have to have those habits. That even if you don't have $100 million, you got to have a $100 million habit
every day.
Yep.
Every single
day, all day. So I love the fact that we're in a state where everybody's owning the opportunity, and that's the big thing I wanted to get to. Was there's an opportunity here to own being better.
Yep.
And that is doing the work every day. So I love, even when I was breaking down the version 1, version 2, I thought to myself the other night, I said, hey, do we really need to get rid of version 1? Or do we need to consolidate, take some things off and sell version 1 as a starter pack?
Yeah.
And then get to version 2 where you got, maybe just the parachute component for dogs. And then you go version 3. So you think some people move past version 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I was like, we can create a process, if you would.
Yeah.
Cheapen the price even. And mind you, I sit up people and I analyze businesses. And any business that I'm privy to.
Yeah.
I'm interested in. I want to see this thing be successful. I have no interest in building my own. If anything, I'm like, how do we build a better process to make this thing communicate the opportunity?
Well, we learned, that was one thing we learned in the past couple months is that, we took these version 2s and we changed the pricing tier on them, right? Yeah. Because not everybody can afford a version 3, right? Maybe they're hitting some hard times and they don't see it as a value investment enough yet, right? But we know the benefits of it. But now they're moving. The version 2s that were moving okay are now moving exceptionally well. So it kind of opened up our minds. Okay, we need to have maybe multiple versions for multiple price points for individuals in their income if we want every dog owner to have this tool.
Exactly. And that's the part where, again, I'm very interested in the long-term growth. Stan threw out a number as far as the exit. My job a lot of times, included with the only things I'm creating, is Jamarcus seen that I write a whole fucking strategy and exactly when this comes out, what's going to be implemented here, from guides to plans to the programs, all that shit.
Yeah.
Because it has to grow.
Yeah.
And uniformity is key in a business. How do we uniform and unify the opportunity to really work with a person?
Yeah.
And what do I need to create to communicate the opportunity to be better?
Yeah, well, that's all great stuff. Well, earlier we talked about no exceptions, right? And no exceptions to the rule. In order to win this IG contest, you have to listen and respond to us within 7 days before we launch the next episode. We're not going to chase you down.
Make sure they understand. They comment on a post by asking a question.
Quality question.
Stan's going to answer your question on the podcast.
And Jamarcus is going to read it off.
You listen to the podcast and have heard your question being answered, you reach out and say, hey, that was me. We'll verify, and boom, get your address and ship everything to you.
Yep. And not to confuse it, Jamarcus also has a couple questions that have nothing to do with the contest that we gotten from the website or reviews and stuff like that that we want to address. Yep. Yeah, from the community that has nothing to do with that. So we're going to set a clear boundary of communication of what is the actual contest question and what are the other couple questions that we want to address.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, so questions from the X-Dog community. So question number 1. So this one is from @HomeDogsClub from the Instagram post that you just posted.
So this is for the contest.
This is for the contest. That is correct. So what he asked is the X-Dog vest waterproof?
That's a great question. Okay, so it's not waterproof, like it will get wet, right? Mm-hmm. But it can be used in water. So a lot of our dog diving community people are NADD sports, North American diving dogs, which is so the North American diving dogs is not associated with the North American diving dogs is associated with AKC. Dock Dives is its own organization, and so a lot of them use it in pools. I would say if you're going to utilize it in a water situation, I wouldn't use it in rivers or lakes or ponds just for the safety purposes. I'm going to tell you not to do that for the warranty or the liability of saying, like, don't do that. Yeah. If you're in a shallow area under strict supervision, I would definitely say you could utilize it. The reason why you can use it in water too, one way to clean the vest, right, is to just put it in cold water. Clean it off with mild detergent if you need it. Most time you don't need mild detergent. Make sure the weights are taken out. Make sure if you have a version 3 or a metal clip that you dry off the clips and just let it air dry. That's a great way to keep your vest clean and conditioned. And so hopefully that answered your question. And who asked that again?
That was at Home Dogs Club from Instagram.
Okay, you're the winner of the X-Dog V3 camo.
Boom.
And also matching True Beast leash and collar.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Good stuff. So we gotta move on. We'll finish this thing.
Well, we got a couple more questions.
Yeah, we'll get back to another question. Last thing before we answer the final few questions I want to discuss is the importance of a patent, trademark, and owning the business. LLC. Yeah. So prior to, like, the first thing I know that you do a lot of times is buy domains, potentially go get trademarks.
Yeah.
Things that you can scale on. Trademark is good for 50 states. You get every country you have to pay for whatever trademark over there. But why is that important?
Well, you definitely want to protect your brand, but you also want to protect yourself. So there's a catch-22. One, we own the X-Dog. We own X-Dog vests. We have a bunch of different trademarks. And, of course, we have a design patent, utility patent pending, and multiple design patent pendings on the X-Dog vest. But you don't want to have anything under your name. So you have these trusts, and then you put everything underneath the trust. And the reason why that's important is so just in case someone tries to sue you, they're not actually suing you, and so, or suing the company, so you got a protective point. But, for example, for food sources, right? Let's say dog food, treats, supplements, and stuff like that. Unless you own a single ingredient, right? If you own a single ingredient, you have a registered, you have a patent on it. Like, for example, Creapure, right? In order to utilize Creapure, they have to license you to use it, right? Which is a micronized creatine. Unless you own that, you can't own a formula or recipe. So, for example, you could go out and literally blueprint, for example, energy drink, right? You can almost blueprint it to the. So in order
Tuscan salmon, you can't patent
exactly.
You can't do it. It's just a recipe.
So in order to be protected, you got to have a strong brand, right? Mm-hmm. And build a culture behind that brand, and then own that brand. There's look at Nike, dude. How many fucking billions, if not, I know they probably millions of dollars a year they get hit off with knockoffs that they lose off knockoffs. They're just not, there's only so much you can do as far as protection when it comes to that.
Exactly, people. And it's a real thing. So protecting yourself is, for one, the guy who sold Ring, for instance, he didn't go get a patent on Ring. He just, we're going to pound the pavement. Yeah. And that's you betting on your, the work.
Man, Nas killed it off that. He got $40 million off that.
So let's go do Ring, and is this patented? No, but they're not going to beat me to market. Yeah. They're not going to make something better. And it was actually called the Doorbot when it first started. So it was an even uglier name.
And there's a lot of value to being there first, right? Like, you look at 1 Hour energy drink. It wasn't actually an energy drink. It was a shot, right? And then you had Red Bull, Coca-Cola. There's knockoffs, but you're not going to, at the end of the day, they're going to be the king, Yeah. So I know you had some other questions, right?
Yeah. A couple more questions. So another big one is the X-Dog vest safe?
So there's a big misconception between what a weight vest is and what the X-Dog health enhancement harness is. And I want to make this very clear, right? We've been out since August 7th, 2017 was our first launch. We've had 0 injury reports, right? There's been hundreds of thousands of other injury reports that come from dog food, leashes, collars, treats, toys, just basic walking on hard flooring and there's been 0 on the X-Dog vest, right? And the reason why it is because it does not start out as a loaded vest. It is an empty harness. One, you have to go get the weight. You have to go get the sand, or you have to go get
them weights. You're selling them a vest.
We're selling you a harness, right? Second, we have clear directions. If you're going to do high velocity training, anything to do with sprinting or jumping, you're not going to exceed over 5% or 6%. And we have an 8-week program to condition those stabilizer muscles or fixator muscles to help reduce the risk of injury. If you're doing low impact movement like controlled leash walks or obedience work where you can control how the dog is actually moving, we're not going to ask you to go over 10%. Ironically, those are very low percentages based on a lot of studies. I mean, we talked about that Beagle study that they did on 11 dogs where they walked them on a treadmill for 75 minutes at 130% of their body weight. 0 injury reports, no arthritis linked back to it. And they found out that it had a lot to do with genetics. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why the X-Dog vest is safe. Now, when you talk about a weight vest that uses blocks, right? Mm-hmm. For example, a lot of the weight is located on the spine. There's no weights located on the spine, right? And there's a big jump and increase on weight. Like if you use a block metal weight, the dog jumps up, falls on its side, breaks a rib. Or it's just too heavy and the dog's muscles are not conditioned to add a half a pound or a pound block at a time, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about, let's say, a 30-pound dog, and you add a block and you got blocks all over the place on this dog. Now you got a 15-pound, 20-pound vest on a dog that's 30, 40 pounds, and it ain't conditioned for that. And you're going to what we call is ego weighting it. You're going to run into potential some issues. Mm-hmm. But the X-Dog vest is not a weight vest. It can be a weight vest. I call it a fitness vest, and I also call it a health enhancement harness. And so, yes, it is 100% safe if you follow our directions.
There you go. That was going to be my other question. And then also someone mentioned in the community that they heard that it's hard on the dog's joints. Is that true?
That's a huge misconception. Again, that all falls back down to, like, again, an overweighted vest could probably potentially be an issue if the dog is under condition and you have it doing high risk stuff, right? Mm-hmm. If you throw a huge, like a loaded vest that's 40, 50, 60 pounds of dog's body mass and you have them jumping and running and sprinting and doing spring pole and flirt pole and stuff like that, there's a potential chance that your dog could get injured, of course, right? But the way we have the system set up, and this is why we talked about evolving, is that we take a deeper dive. Our goal is to take the vest, and here's another thing. It's not just an anxiety vest or it helps with behavior issues. It can help with rehabilitation. You know, weight can help with rehabilitation. It's just a very unique, cutting-edge product that's never been put out on the market before. Yeah. And so the program is set up to condition fixator muscles and stabilizer muscles to help lessen the pressure on joints, ligaments, and tendons, and can add years to your dog's joint health and life. And so it's just an uncommon, uneducated misconception that 9 times out of 10. Let me ask you this: does anybody go to the gym and go, man, let me just cause a bunch of health joint issues? You know, let me just tear up my fucking joints. You know, I mean, I'm gonna have big muscles, but you know, my joints are gonna be fucking a hole in the wall.
No, of course not.
Of course
you go to improve joint health, right?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, so it's a tool again. Like, again, if you got a problem with a weight vest, then you should have a massive problem with dog food because it's the leading cause to joint issues, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, most dogs have an inflamed body because they eat commercial kibble all day. They're under exercise and they have a disease thriving environment. And, you know, like, that causes more deaths, injuries, and disease than a freaking weight vest, you know? And then you should have a problem with the leash and collar because 26,000 people report a year get injured, not just dogs, humans, right? Yeah. And you should have a problem with dog toys because more dogs die off dog toys than just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say to all of that, man, is me being a new dog owner, you know, I have a 6-month-old puppy now, and fortunately I'm glad I'm around people like yourselves, is that most people don't realize, and I never knew this, but it is solely all on the owner when it comes to their dog. Solely on the owner, and that's one thing I'm learning firsthand. Like, how my dog acts is based off what I do and how much I pour into it. So if you're not pouring into your dog, people, probably because of you. If your dog is doing all kinds of dumb shit, it's probably because of you.
It shouldn't be called dog training. It should be called ownership training. Ownership.
There you go. Ownership.
Because the thing is, a lot of dog trainers, this is the biggest problem that dog trainers that I've seen run into is that, let's say you have a board and train, right? Mm-hmm. The trainer's going to get the dog ready, right? But then when the dog goes home with you, the owner feels like there's no more work to be done.
Yeah.
That relationship is a daily relationship. It's not a part-time relationship.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you
gotta take care of your dog, to say the least. But and I like the concept of ownership. I'm processing that already. Trying to figure out how I'm gonna implement it somewhere. So I'd imagine you have a would you rather.
Oh shit! I actually didn't have that one today.
Here we go, man. Yeah. Here we go. He's supposed to come up.
I'll have one shortly, man.
Well, we got another episode coming up. Listen, ownership is everything, people.
Yeah.
Own your business. Own and take charge of your life. Make choices that make you better. Learn from the choices that you make. I again do not like mistakes. Ignorance is a real thing as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't always know that we're making mistakes. So go and ask for help.
Yeah, and mistakes aren't always bad. Just have a different perception. Just don't make the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah, own that shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect example. Literally, last week, I fucked up, and had to address it with Trev. And I could have easily, the old me would have been either pointing the finger or trying to make some type of excuse. But in that moment, I was like, no, it was me. I fucked up. I should not have done this. I should not have left Gia by herself for her to chew it through her cast. Uh-huh. And then, sure enough, even we were talking about last night, he was like, he could have flipped out on me, but he was like, in that moment, he was like, I respect the fact that at least he owned his mistake. Yeah. And the sooner you own those mistakes, man, the easier it is for you to continue to move forward.
That's why I tell my whole team over here, like, I don't care. I'm expecting you to make mistakes because that's going to be an investment towards your education. Now, if you continuously make the same mistake, then you're going to get your ass written up because we have to. It's a business. We have to protect the business. If we've already talked to you about it and we've given you multiple warnings, then you're making the mistake over and over again. Yeah. I catch myself doing these virtual visionary conversations with my son that's about to be born about how he, like, I'll be in the car talking about, on a ride home, maybe he took a loss or, or he had run into a problem. Dog, it's so fucking weird. Like, but, I want him to have the perception of, like, problems are going to exist. You're going to have problems all throughout life. They're just going to be a different type of problem. And those problems are there for a reason. They're there to give you some awareness on what areas you need to work on and what areas you need to grow at, and that's just what it is.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, go ahead with the benediction.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And again, congratulations to the winner. You got 7 days to hit us up, because if you don't, then you're not going to get your prize. But thank you again, as always, man, for your support, man. Like, share, man. Give us a review. We really need those reviews. Those will help us out tremendously. And as always, Team X Dog Strong.